which was very moving for me. I'm almost at the point of like having my own voice crack, because most people I know are far on the other direction, which are not comfortable, don't want to talk to you, wish you would go away. And hell, I respect them for that. I remember being in situations where people would have issues and instigate themselves into your realm or your conversation, whatever, and not feel comfortable and want to move away myself, go to another room and not deal with it. It was very interesting that there was another person there last night where this particular person couldn't speak. She had some hearing issues at an early age, and she learned how to sign, and she met this really nice guy, and I just know them casually, but this guy invested his life into her and learned how to communicate with her, and they converse well back and forth, and they had some children, and it's really cool. But I myself, even being that I am somewhat sympathetic to somebody's, handicapped nature, I didn't even feel comfortable hanging out with her, because I don't know sign language or whatever, and I'm sure she was very used to the fact that when people would engage in talking to her or whatever, they would have to see her through a different light, which is, how do you talk to somebody that doesn't speak, or maybe doesn't really hear what you're saying? And she was cool. She was energetic. She wasn't affected by it. I think she had this thing for a long time, and so the reality is, to her as it is to all of us, is, hey, we get it, and we're just not comfortable to hang around at times with, and certainly engage conversation or talk to, because we're different, and the things that make us different are upsetting, that they would see these things, and they just don't know how to deal with it. So the other night I ended up talking for a little while, and his wife, and I engaged in a conversation where I felt very comfortable to be very open amongst the couple, and that's my ideals and my experiences and how I'm learning stuff and what's challenging, right down to my confusion of women and how they think, and what planet they're born from. So at the end of it all, I literally had them like for an hour or two, and it seemed like they wanted to keep on with it, but they were pretty tired, and I finished my coffee and excused myself and left. And my friend left me with this cool shirt, because he's like a Green Bay Packers fan, and I left there on a really good note, and actually feel good today about it. It's kind of funny how a simple invite somewhere, some understanding, they try to treat you normal and really play down any reaction that they would think of you as different, anything they would find uncomfortable, to get past so that they can treat you as a person. How you would feel the next day. I mean, my God, we forget what it's like to be amongst normal people. Thus, our isolation becomes a reality, where you get tired of trying to explain it to people or make them understand, or at least try and see through some type of light that could like play down things, and you're basically a normal person. You just have a hard time expressing yourself or staying on track with a focused topic. Even now when I'm talking here, I don't have any notes. I have some beside me here because I want to keep on with my speech here, or whatever you want to call it, because I don't even know why I'm doing this. I want to. But it's cool that people can, with very little effort, a little time, some conversation, a coffee, an email, I don't find it comfortable to converse with people, because how I have to express myself requires some thought, to organize my thoughts. To hear a question, actually register what you're talking about or engage yourself in a topic they want to talk about, requires some, some training, some practice, and so on. So I find it easier to write to somebody by means of letters, and of course email is awesome nowadays. Email, it's awesome. So most people, your friends, when they want to talk to you or talk about anything they want to talk about, they want to talk to you in person. So the phone's much easier for them to call you, and if they wanted to. And it's easier to call you than it is to open up your email and then write down what you want to ask the person, and then trying to figure out what you want to hear from that person, or what's a good conversation to engage in, or a good topic. Because it's kind of weird that you now you have to talk to your friend by email. Because when you talk to them on the phone, you're the only one talking, because your friend is on the other end of the line trying to digest what you're saying or what you're speaking, trying to engage in a conversation, but he just can't do it. He can't engage in a flow of conversation. He's traumatized by it. He can't do it. So your conversation being, "Hi Mac, how's it going?" and how's everything, whatever, and how are your kids and your wife, and how's your son Leo, and what are you doing, and how's the weather, and whatever the deal is. Because you're not able to respond in a manner that would be exciting or interesting, most of your answers are being like, yes, no, maybe, mm-hmm, yeah, blue, sky's blue. You're definitely a dry person to talk to. And when you hang up the phone, somewhat frustrated because you really wanted to engage in some conversation with your friend, but you found it too hard, too challenging. You just couldn't do it. So they'll call you less because they think that you're either too messed up to talk to, or you're just too hard to talk to. I mean, I talked to him on the phone, and he said yes, no, and maybe, and I talked for a half hour, and I got no responses. So what was the point of that? Nothing. I choose not to do it. I'm not going to do it again, or I'll do it next month, or maybe on his birthday, or next Christmas. And then they're always engaged in their own lives, and then you just get to be a thing of the past. And then for every day that goes by, there's no contact. There's less chance that they will contact you because, time, memory, it all just sort of passes. So your one day or your 1 week turns into 2, and then 5, and then next 3 months later you haven't talked to that person, and well, they don't really want to talk to you anyways, or if they do, they're just going to hear you say yes, no, blue, uh-huh, and why, and say nothing in response. So it takes a friend with some interest to foresee that the mode of conversation and connection with your friend is a little trying, perhaps by phone. And if you really want, or you really have any interest in that friend, having any passion of life and enjoying your visit or conversing back and forth, you got to pick a different avenue. And that's, at first, it's going to be write a letter. Letters are easy for people that are mentally challenged in some way to take in, so they can read it, or have someone read it to them if they're not capable. And then gives you a chance to digest it, see what it's all about, see all the questions. And it gives you time to you don't have to respond to it this minute. You can respond to it in an hour from now, or 5 hours from now, or the following day. Think about it all day, and then finally sit down and want to respond. And if you're so badly challenged, with your hands, control, and so on, and typing keys are difficult. Just the one more good thing to do, which is open up the computer, open up your email, and respond. Get your fingers moving, even if you make thousands of mistakes and you can't find the words. Your dialogue is dry. You did the best you could. Then you read it over and you fix your problems or whatever you got down there, your punctuation, and eventually out will come maybe a small letter at first, but a longer one next time. Or, wow, my friend's talking to me by mail. This is really cool. I have a lot to say. I can't think of what I want to say at this moment, but at the same time, I want to drop him a line back. So why don't I just give him the happy thank you very much for calling me, and believe me, he's thankful that someone actually is talking to him. And send a few lines back. Hey, my day's great, or it's bad. All this crap's happening. I feel sick, or whatever. Kids called me, or watched this game earlier, or this movie, or did you see the last movie? I went to the theater last. Whatever comes up. And being it's only a very short opportunity of some thought, but one that could be focused on, out comes a few words, a couple lines, and bang, you get this short message back. Maybe some answers to some questions, and then when you open it, going back and forth, and you're not so structured to, I'm only going to send Mac a letter once a day, because more than once a day is going to be weird. Or I'm only going to send him once a week a letter, because anything else is weird. It's too much. Or two times a day is too many, or 3 times a day, or 8 times a day, or no times a day, or once a month, or whatever you have diagnosed. The reality is, for most of us who live isolated lives and actually will gravitate to a computer like I have, we'll keep opening it in hopes that there's something to do. I mean, it's cool being creative and writing things that are cool or descriptive, or just challenging yourself to write a poem or whatever. It's very cool when you can actually talk to somebody back where, again, verbally you're not comfortable with, but by letter, by email, you're very comfortable with. Hell, you could be writing back a 50-page letter if you're so impassioned to, and your friend hopefully will read it and digest it and respond back with something. It's something to do. I mean, how much time does it take you to write an email?